afternoon, St. Lucie County 5th graders. This is Mrs. LaShawn Ashton coming to you from my dining room to your living room. I hope you guys are doing well. I know that this whole time can be a little frustrating and scary with Canvas not always working or internet problems, but I want you to know you're doing a great job. So give yourselves a pat on the back because you guys are really doing a great job. So this week, we are going to be dealing with some informational text. We are going to be looking at the U.S. Constitution using two different texts. So the standard we're going to use today is 1.1 and 2.4. So that's our I 1.1 and 2.4 because we're looking at informational text. So let me remind you what those are. Quote accurately from a text when explaining what the text says explicitly and when drawing inferences from the text. So we're quoting accurately, explaining what the text says, just like if we were citing evidence. We're saying exactly what it's saying when we're explaining what we're saying, and drawing inferences from the text. That was kind of like the example we used, I think 2 weeks ago, about if we saw an ambulance and the lights were going and it was going fast and it was blaring its horns, what could we think? We would make the educated guess that they were getting to someone or getting someone to the hospital that needed help. So that's RI 1.1. And then RI 2.4 is dealing with vocabulary. So determine the meaning of general academic and domain-specific words or phrases in a text. So those are words that are important for us to understand the text. Do we know what they mean? If we don't know what they mean, reading around the word to figure out what it means. So read the sentence before, read the sentence after to help us determine the meaning of those words. So let's start with that standard. In your PDF, it's going to look like this. U.S. Constitution facts. There are a couple words that you need to know to understand what you're reading. So the first one is Constitution. What is the Constitution? I lost track. It is in here so many times. So when you read it, can you go through it and count how many times they're in there? Great, thank you. That would be awesome because it's in there so many times I couldn't even keep count. Another one is amendment. Then we have the legislative branches. So we have executive, judicial, and legislative. Then we have Congress, Supreme Court, and framers. So what are framers? Does it sound like a picture frame or somebody that makes a frame for a photo? Well, let's see what it means. So on page 2 of your PDF, it says, the Constitution was written in 1787. A group of men called the Framers met to write the Constitution. They felt a set of rules were needed to govern the country. Benjamin Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, George Washington, and James Madison were some of the more well-known framers of the Constitution. The framers, members of Congress, met in Independence Hall in Philadelphia. So, by reading that, what do we think a framer is? Is it someone that creates a frame for a picture? No. Remember, words can be the same but have different meanings in context. So, it says a group of men called the Framers met to write the Constitution. So what did they do? Yes, it was a group of men that wrote the Constitution. They wrote the Constitution for the United States. Good. Let's look at another word that we are going to encounter. Amendment. That's on page 3. I have it highlighted. You guys can see. So it says, an amendment to the Constitution is a change that can add to the Constitution or change an older part of it. An amendment can even overturn a previous amendment. So what does that mean? Yes, an amendment can make changes that can add to the Constitution. So they can add something to the Constitution, or they can use it to overturn and replace parts of the Constitution. So I want you to do that with the rest of your words you have for this week. I'll repeat those words for you. Constitution, amendment, executive, judicial, and legislative branches of government, Congress, Supreme Court, and framers. So you're going to do that same thing with those other words. I know you can do it. You guys are super smart and amazing fifth graders. So let's move on to the RI11. The RI11 is really getting us to understand who, what, and why. So who is the text about? What are they doing and why are they doing it? So we're thinking about these three words: who, what, and why. So let's start with page 1. So here's page 1 of your PDF. So who are they talking about? I'm going to read it to you guys very quickly, and then we're going to go over who, what, and why. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. The Constitution of the United States is a supreme law of the United States of America, written in 1787. So who is it? Who is in here? Good. The people of the United States, because it says we the people. Why? What are they trying to do? What are the people trying to do? Okay, good. Form a more perfect union. So they're trying to establish a better union, a better environment living for themselves. What? What are they trying to do? They're trying to create the Constitution to have those rules and have a better life. So that's page 1. Let's look at page 2. So we did the who, why, and what on page 1. So we're going to go to page 2. And page 2 looks like this. So who wrote the U.S. Constitution? We talked about this just a little bit ago. The framers. Good. Now, do you remember who some of the important framers were? Or can you look at your computer screen if you have it in front of you? Give me one. Good. Benjamin Franklin was one. Can you think of another one? Alex Hamilton. And one more. George Washington. Good. Where else do we know George Washington from? Who was he? Yes, he was a president. And what else did he do? Where else do we see him? On money. Good. So he was very important. So that is more on page 2. Let's look at page 3. What is the third bullet mostly about? So sometimes you'll see those kind of questions when we're talking about what. So I'm going to read the third bullet to you and we will figure out together what it's mostly about. Are you guys ready? Okay. When the Constitution was written, the framers knew that future generations would want to make changes. They wanted to make it possible to change the Constitution without needing to resort to revolution. They wanted to be sure the process wasn't too difficult or too easy. To address this issue, the framers added an amendment process. An amendment to the Constitution is a change that can add to the Constitution or change an older part of it. An amendment can even overturn a previous amendment, as the 21st did to the 18th. There are a few methods to amend the Constitution, but the most common is to pass an amendment through the Congress on a 2/3 vote. After that, the amendment goes to the states, and if 3/4 of the state pass the amendment, it is considered a part of the Constitution and has been ratified. There have been 27 amendments to the Constitution. So what is this mostly about? It is one of our vocabulary words. Yes, amendments. It's how amendments are able to change the Constitution, and it talks about the process of changing them. So, with that being said, I want you to look at page 4 on your own and think about who, what, and why. And I will be back with you on Wednesday. Have a great day, guys.